Recording in progress.
Right. Who do we have present? Mr. Yako. Good afternoon, Mr. Yako.
Good afternoon, sir.
You just let me get my bearings. You are the CEO of the Mpumalanga Cricket Union, is that right?
That is correct.
Yes. And Yako is your first name, and is it Fisachi?
That's correct, yes.
Oh, yes, yes. Thanks, Mr. Fisachi. Is Sandile with you, or is he elsewhere?
He's responding to
Mr. Luchele? Or you
No,
are...
Sandile and Vusi is both not here.
Yes.
Both in their towns with Sandile is in Piet Retief and Vusi is in Nelspruit.
Oh, I see.
They're all in
But
our province,
Mr.
yes, but they're not here with me physically.
Yes, but Sandile is also going to be responding to Mr. Matebula. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yes. Right. I don't know whether you are going to take an oath or whether you are going to affirm.
Oath is fine, thank you, sir.
Right. Then an oath it will be. Mr. Yakov Isachi, do you swear that the evidence you are going to give to this inquiry is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing else but the truth? And if that is so, please raise your right hand for the camera and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you very much, sir. I have now been sworn in. I've got Advocate Ntsebeza here, who is here to assist me. But basically, this is an occasion for you to make such responses as you would like to make to allegations that were made by Vusi Matebula when he came and testified before me and said things about Mpumalanga Cricket Union, which called for responses by those whom he mentioned in the process thereof. And this is the occasion for you to do so. And if you want to, you are welcome to speak to any document that you may have prepared in response thereto, or if you like, you can address us in any way you wish to, for as long as you will satisfy yourself that you have responded to allegations that were made to us by Mr. Mathebula. You are on the floor.
Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. I did submit a written response from Mpumalanga Cricket. I'm sure you're in receipt of that. So first, let me just start with thanking CFA and the Ombudsman for the time and effort in running this project. We feel it is a huge step towards addressing certain issues of the past. And this is most certainly a way in which we can listen and address points that needs to be dealt with.
Yes.
We therefore welcome the input of Mr. Mathebula. And can assure all that we will be addressing relevant points in order to make cricket better in our broader community. We are aware of numerous areas such as facilities that needs to be focused on and plan to do our utmost in bridging the gaps if there might be. As finance as always is a problem, we are sure some of these can be addressed as our team competing in the new domestic structure should be able to give us more power within the market that is out there. Just for interest's sake, during the Black Lives Matter movement coming to the fore during 2020, we released a statement supporting all movements that fight against any form of discrimination. We actually went as far as opening an email address for our stakeholders to submit any discrimination actions that they feel we need to be made aware of. The address is in my response. We have handed that to countrywide to people, and the situation would have been handled, all the paperwork, by an independent person. Unfortunately, there was no submissions. It is with regret that Mr. Mathebula did not wish to make use of this platform, but rather address his concerns on a national platform. After we went through his statements, his written one as well as the one that he gave in person, we've identified numerous areas of concerns that he's raised, and I'd like to address them point for point.
Yes.
Number one is where he alludes to a slow or lack of transformation and development in programs under Mpumalanga Cricket Union. So we have established 2 development areas through Cricket South Africa, which is recognized by them. One is a hub, which is in Malakutu, where he is from, and the other one is a RPC, a Regional Performance Center in Embralentle, that is just outside of Secunda.
Yes.
These areas have been approved by CSA and has been effectively operating for the past 7 years. We have also identified Bushbuck Reach and Kana. For those who don't know, Kana is an area just outside of Piet Retief, and has been investing time and finances within these projects to uplift and develop cricket in the areas. The aim is to apply at CSA for hub status once the criteria has been met by these particular areas. We've also been in contact with CSA and received funding through them to assist Bushbuck Reach in certain areas, such as transport. We are working hard with CSA to service as many areas as possible. Right, then number 2, board members elected without constituencies to window dress.
Just before you go ahead with that, Mr. Fisher, he must have been aware when he made those allegations. He must have been aware of these things that you have mentioned in rebuttal to his testimony. Why do you think that do you know why he made those allegations, yet you are very, very precise in saying this is our response, and you actually give us chapter and verse. There is a hub, there is an RPC at place. Why do you think he comes here and tells us a story that leaves an impression that not very much has been done to address the situation?
First of all, sir, I would be speculating if I tell you what I think.
Yes.
So, necessarily fact. But if you do insist that I say what I think it is because he feels the speed at which it happens is not what he would like it to be.
I see. Okay, I'm sorry for having interrupted you there.
No problem.
Yeah. Then you were going to go to the board members who are elected without constituencies
Yes.
window dress.
So all our board members are elected based on criteria as set out in our MOI. The independent members will not be affiliated to any stakeholder, as this is the criteria classified to be an independent. So they would not be coming from either a club or a school or anywhere else that is a constituency or a stakeholder in Mpumalanga cricket. That is the basis for being an independent. The non-independent members are all elected by stakeholders in each region. This is done democratically, where each stakeholder has a right to nominate and vote.
Yes. You can continue. You can continue.
All right. Then administration of the hub. The funding that we receive from CSA, as well as the operational structures, is stipulated by the MOU between CSA and its affiliates. We are guided by this and therefore operate all hubs and RPCs in the country on the same basis. At no point was Malakuta Cricket Academy told that they cannot form part of the structure. They do, however, need to fit into the structure. Through MCU, which is Mpumalanga Cricket, and Cricket South Africa, we have put forward the structures as follows. The structure needs to have club cricket representation, high schools, primary schools, modified cricket, which is mini cricket, as well as ladies and girls cricket. The representatives from each area need to serve on the committee. Malakuta Cricket Academy was told, as they are a club, they can fulfill that role of the club cricket. Nothing can be taken away from them. They do, however, not, we cannot ever give them financial control. As MCU is funded by CSA, we need to be the responsible person for the procurement policies as stated in our policies. The actual budget is shared with these stakeholders, but ultimately the head coach of the hub is responsible for drafting the budget with the cricket services manager, which is employee at MCU. The coach can be invited to committee meetings, but cannot serve as the elected person as asked on the committee, as per our and CSA MOU. No staff, full-time staff members allowed to serve or be elected onto a stakeholders committee. Surely this is understandable as to prevent the conflict of interest. The coaches are also held accountable and report to MCU as we are the employers. They cannot report to a different entity and that is not their employers. They do, however, need to give feedback to the local committee.
Yes. Yeah, continue, Mr.
All right.
Yes.
Then he stipulated that he was never been invited to be a selector or a coach. All positions at our provincial age group levels, whether it is from under 10 to under 19, boys and girls, all selectors, coaches and managers are filled through a process, which is a call for applications. That particular people then send in applications, and then there's an identification process and election process to appoint these people. Mr. Matabula did not apply for any of these positions. We have not invited anybody, as you need to follow the process as this transparent process to give all an equal opportunity. So at no point did we ask anybody to be a selector coach that hasn't applied for that position if he is not an employee of the union.
Yeah.
Right, if I carry on, then
yes.
he alluded to Mr. Mongezi Mokwena that had an academic contract and then went over into full employment contract at the union. Mongezi was given an academic contract in 2017. That is a 3-year contract. Unfortunately, the specifics of the contract, I'm not going to divulge on air, but you're welcome to ask for that. I'll more than gladly send that to you. During his time as a player, we advertised the position of mini cricket coordinator. That is a full-time position within the office. Mongezi applied and was the successful candidate. He was, however, still afforded the opportunity to play cricket within Mpumalanga and represented our, at that point, rural team, which was the highest team at that point, apart from our semi-professional team, and trying to work his way up. As we stand now, he is still part of our structures as a player, as far as the games goes for academy and Colts teams.
You mean Mongezi? Mongezi Mokwena is still part of Mpumalanga cricket.
He still plays at various levels for us. He just not under a contract. He has got a full-time employment contract. So at no point has his playing career been stopped.
When you say he plays at various levels.
Yes, so he plays club cricket within our province. He plays for our academy side, and he plays for, well, our Colt side. He's in the squad. They haven't played an actual game yet this season, but he is in that setup as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And based on performances, he can then, from there on, move up the ranks.
Okay.
All right. Then Ntsebeza Magagula. Ntsebeza attended trials on numerous occasions and has represented Mpumalanga cricket on quite a few occasions at provincial cricket at age group level. However, when he has attended trials, he has always bowled seam. At no point did he bowl leg spin during trials. Therefore, our selectors has always selected him as a seam bowler and not a spin bowler, because we were not given the opportunity at trials to see him bowling spin. So we cannot stand for that, whether he is a spinner or not, or how good he is, because at the trials, when the selectors see him, he's always been doing that certain skill.
Can you just explain for me how one identifies the seamer?
Seamer is a guy that bowls quick.
Okay. It's a
So that
fast
is
bowler.
somebody like fast bowler.
Like Makarantini used to be?
Correct.
Okay. Who do we have now in the Proteas team as a fast bowler?
At the moment, the fast bowlers in the Proteas team is Andrich Nortje, Kagiso Rabada, Lungi, and Gini.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
They are the fast bowlers.
Oh, yes. So they would otherwise be called seamers.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I follow.
Okay. Then as far as Gerald Ngwenyama goes, in my response at that point when I submitted it a month or so back, there was still an arbitration process regarding his situation. That has been finalized last week. Both parties has agreed, and we're moving on to that. Both has accepted what the settlement was, and Mr. Ngwenyama is part of our greater professional squad practicing with him from yesterday.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Then as far as the... Yes, sir.
No, go ahead, Mr. Fisaki.
All right. Then the cricket ground in Malakutu. The funding utilized for this project was specifically allocated for 2 projects. We therefore needed to abide by this or risk losing the funding. The facility in Emalahleni was built for high-performance training that will serve all players in Mpumalanga and not just for the benefit of local clubs. Malakutu was therefore the only area identified to assist specifically. With the original identification of the area, Mpumalanga Cricket did recommend a different site as it had water. This was not accepted by MCA, and they insisted on the venue without water. We also utilized a local contractor on their demand, and this turned out to be a huge over-expense. We even drilled for water to give them water at the field with tanks as well as power units that pumps the water. To date, there has been more than 1.5 million rand spent on the project. CSA has also put up new facilities practice-wise that has also been vandalized in the meantime. CSA were always assisting in this project, and I want to clearly state that Mr. Edward Koza and Mr. David Makopanele has always assisted MCA and MCU as far as possible. The assumption that they are not willing to listen is wrong, as we found them very approachable. Further to the point, CSA also agreed to build a multi-purpose facility at the identified venue, but the idea was turned down as they did not feel comfortable with it.
Caesar
Right. And as
contract?
far as we go, Caesar's contract, just for matters of interest, Caesar is the head coach at the hub, which is in Malakutu. He is on a fixed-term contract as per CSA regulations. And it is not a month-to-month contract, it is a more than 1 year contract. So those details, once again, I can send you. Unfortunately, I won't be able to divulge it over a national platform.
Yes.
But you're more than welcome to have a look at his contract.
No, and we understand.
Right. Then number 10, he said that MCU has been dissolved. At no point was MCU dissolved. We weren't even put under administration. CSA has just appointed an administrator to oversee board meetings to ensure cooperation between regions. This was only done for 1 year. To give you some background, there has been friction within Mpumalanga for numerous years, well, since the inception that I know of, between the different districts of who is supposed to be either in charge or who is the stronger or who's got the more cricket footprint. So that is what that was about. There was no dissolving of MCU, as well as we weren't even on administration. We just had an appointed administrator that oversee board meetings.
It was not race-based or gender-based.
Right. Okay, then if I go on, he alluded to the fact that all appointees are white. All appointments are done through a process that complies with labour law. CSA has a representative that serves on each and every panel when a new position has been advertised and there is an interview panel that exists. MCU also has an employment equity plan as approved by the Department of Labour, which we abide by. Therefore, the question remains for us, is the issue work output related or the mere fact that certain positions are filled by certain people? If the perception is the latter, then it might border on racism for us.
Mr. Fasahi,
Yes, sir, ma'am.
what are you exactly saying in that paragraph 11? Are the top positions occupied by mostly white people? And in answering that question, if you can just tell us the composition of the management at MCU.
Okay, if you just talk management, who would you refer to? Which positions?
Well, the appointees that Mr. Matebula was referring to. So you can tell us whether it's the board or the management.
The management, as far as staff goes, there is 3 people in management positions, which is myself. Then the cricket service manager is Mr. Garth Anderson, and the financial manager is Mrs. Teresa Willemse. Those are the 3 management positions.
Right, and it's all white people.
No, it's not all white people.
Okay. Can you tell us the racial demographics?
So Mrs. Teresa Willemse is a white female, I'm a white male, and Mr. Garth Anderson is a colored male.
So which appointees is he? Which appointments was he referring to when he said that it was all white appointments at the union?
I would not know which ones he was referring to.
Which ones are you referring to when you say that in this paragraph that? So you say the question therefore is if the issue is with work output or with the mere fact that certain positions are occupied by white people. Which are those certain positions that are occupied by white people?
I'm not referring to any specific position, ma'am. I'm referring to all of them. That's what you see. All our positions, whether it's advertised from the top to the bottom, it's the same process.
Right. So the people that form part of the union and who manage it and who are part of the management or the board of MCU, is it a transformed? Is the composition transformed? Or should I? Okay, let me put it more directly. Are there black people that are in any of these top positions or management positions in Mpumalanga Cricket Union?
On our board, yes. On those 3 positions, no, as I told you.
And in the
on
board?
The board, there is other positions within Mpumalanga staff-wise that are filled by black people.
Okay, so how many members are in the board?
12.
12. And of those 12 members, how many are black members? Black and female members?
Black and female.
Or rather, let me say this, black members in general, and then how many would be female members?
I'll count for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 of which are black females.
Right. So then, so you're saying that his allegations that they are all white appointments, that's not true. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. Unless you only look at certain positions, that is what what I get to.
So the certain positions
If you
would
only
be
look at certain, if you're going to have 10 appointees in a year, and you only look at 3 specific, it's easy to pick out 3 and then say those 3 are. But if you look at the total number, as per our employment equity plan, then it is not this different picture that you're painting then.
In fact, this is how he puts it. There was a paragraph that he dedicated to this, and I think that's what you are responding to. Where he said, I want to challenge MCU on the premise that output is overlooked because the positions are held by whites and we cry racism. First year, as explained above, this is firstly, as explained above, this is unacceptable, even worse when the people holding these positions are not performing. And then he lists 6 points that he makes, and I'll read them for you into the record. As MCU has indicated in this response, they only have Malekutu, Bush, and Mbalenhle as their development is in MCU telling us that big as Mpumalanga is, they can't reach other areas. I think that's what he wants to say. Yes. But he says areas. Secondly, how many clubs did the province have in 2005 compared to last year or today? 3, why did black clubs pull out of Mpumalanga and start their own cricket league last season? 4, failure to produce quality players to represent the senior Mpumalanga men's side. 5, no national player produced by Mpumalanga since 2005. No grassroots development plan implemented since 2005. And then it says, all the points above indicate that the people who are occupying these top positions are not producing what would be fruitful results for the province, regardless of their color, unless if they collaborate otherwise. Can the MCU indicate the output that I am referring to? And then over page, he says 90% squad from Gauteng. For the start, the fact that the above shortcomings are raised on performance is output. And under the point board members, it therefore concludes that the process for awarding contract will also be fault or has no concrete foundation to fall on in transformed institution. What is 27% in the CSA, 11 contracted squad, and what in a number value of 400% increase on 27%? Can I get clarity in that? I agree all professional sport are results driven. If I may ask the CEO, what will happen to the Rhinos' status should they finish last in the 4-day games? Also now that they have been knocked out of the T20 tournament. The comparison of Mpumalanga Rhinos with Orlando Pirates indicates lack of understanding of the setup of both sporting codes. The CSA structure is set to protect the interests of white people, and it has not changed from what it was from the days of Orange Free State. And then he goes on. And in conclusion says, MCU must change its attitude towards black cricket in the province. I know Jaco and Craig Nell very well. And they need to start doing their own audit about development and ask themselves the hard questions. Are they doing justice to black cricket in the province? We have the potential to have one of the best development models in the country, and yet we are number last. Now, it's written obviously in language that is not his mother tongue, and sometimes I do struggle myself to understand, even though also English is not my mother tongue. But I think if we just look at some of the points he raises, this is a very good opportunity for you to intervene, because he seems to be saying, these are my facts, this is my analysis. Let Mr. Fisachi and whoever else, Craig Nell, answer some of the concerns that I'm putting before you, Mr. Ombudsman, as indications that if you are inquiring into the impact of racism or gender in inequalities in cricket, then you have no better an example to go to than to the Mpumalanga Cricket Union. So just address those concerns in the manner in which he has put them.
Sorry, sir, just for clarity, that paper...
This all-white thing, you know, yeah.
That I do not have in my possession. I only got his first submission as well as what he said in his interview. Was it on a different piece of paper, or am I misreading it somewhere?
Yes, Yaku, it was on a different submission. We can also provide that to you. But it's basically in response to some of the allegations, or rather submissions, that you make in this statement that you are reading.
Totally correct. Then I understand, but can I see that first before I can respond to them? I mean, surely if he had time to read through my statement and come up with a written response, I should be allowed the same opportunity.
That's not a problem. We can afford you that opportunity, but I don't think. I mean, are you able to then just respond in general to his submission, which is the same as he made during the SJN hearings, that Mpumalanga Cricket Union is not invested in black cricketers or black cricket in the province, as he states?
I do not think he's correct in saying that. As I mentioned in all the other programs we are running, that I think he's wrong.
Because, yeah, like as he says that that Mpumalanga is not doing justice to black cricket in the province.
Well, that is his perception. I can't comment on that because I don't know what he bases it on.
When he came to the hearings...
Out of place for me to make a judgment on something that I don't know what he's basing it on.
Right.
I'm dealing with facts at the moment, so that's why all the responses I'm giving you is straight up the facts that I have from Mpumalanga Cricket Union side. So if you forward that to me, I can factually reply on that as well.
Right. Then are you able to reply to the points that the Ombuds just read, that I mean, you mentioned in your submission that you have invested in Malekutu, Bush, and Embalentle, right? So he's saying that Mpumalanga is a big province, so are those the only 3 areas that you've been able to focus on?
That is not the only 3 areas we are focusing on.
What other areas?
What also has to be understood is there's certain levels of cricket. So mini cricket, there are actually 15 areas that we are in rural areas in Mpumalanga cricket that is participating in the mini cricket program. That is, apart from Tula Mahash, Bushbuck Reach, Kanyamazan, Nkomazi, Malekutu, Kana, Embalentle, Siya Bushwa, Kwagasfontein, Mshluzi, numerous are them. The matter comes in after that, these players need to start playing hardball cricket. And therefore, from there on, that means facilities that needs to be provided to these players. And as I'm sure I've listened to some of the SJN hearings so far, surely the infrastructure that needs to be provided to these players cannot just be left on the doorstep of Mpumalanga Cricket and Cricket South Africa to provide these facilities in order for us to do the rest of the development for those. The ones that there is facilities, we like in Bushbuck Ridge, Malakutu to a certain extent, and Embalenhle, we do assist. As I say, the others, there are cricket, we are in those townships, there are a footprint within those areas, but it is up to a certain level where we can do it as far as the facilities and the infrastructure allow us to.
And has the union been supportive to Mr. Vusi Mathebula and his endeavors in terms of developing cricket in the townships?
Definitely. The more we can develop, the better. I was on the phone with Mr. Mathebula last week again.
Right.
I mean, we've assessed that his new club that he has as an extension of Malakutu or Seoul, however he wants to see it, we've supported them once again with a certain amount of transport and equipment. And yes, I know it's not always sufficient, but that is what we can financially at this point afford.
Right. Then, Mr. Fasahi, during the hearings, and I know the transcript of the hearings was provided to you, during the hearings he did mention that black cricket clubs have pulled out of the union, and that's something you haven't really addressed.
If he says black cricket clubs, which ones does he refer to? If he talks about the ones that made their own league, that they didn't want to play under the auspices of Mpumalanga Cricket, they did it for 2 years. As a matter of fact, they've all enrolled again this year.
And the ones that he refers to that created their own league last season, have they rejoined as well?
They created their own league 2 seasons ago. So they had it running for 1 season, and then it was COVID shock. I know there was some games that they actually did play during the COVID period as well. And this coming season, they've all enrolled back on Mpumalanga Cricket's books.
Right.
In our leagues.
Right. And do you know the reasons for them that they the reasons for why they initially pulled out of the union?
That I can't comment on. I'm not exactly sure. We did try and communicate with them, and they didn't want to communicate back at that point when they started the league. But as I say, we've communicated again now, and they are back in our leagues.
No problem, Mr. Yako.
And have you established now why they had left in the first place, or didn't you find it was necessary for you to establish that?
No, we haven't established that yet.
Right. Okay, Mr.
But I'm sure that is something that needs to be addressed as soon as we get together with them again.
No problem. You can proceed then with your last point, number
90% squad from Gauteng.
Right. Our professional contracts are rewarded by a process. The decision making is made by a playing affairs committee and approved at board level. Our current squad is made up of 27% local players. This is a 400% increase from the previous year, which I think is the one that Mr. Mathebula refers to. It is also part of our vision of MCU to promote local players as far as possible. Our focus on these players, developing these players, and to meet the 50% target within the next 3 years. This is a professional sport and it's results driven. Surely other professional sporting codes do not just sign local players. It was interesting to see how other sporting codes such as the Bulls or the Orlando Pirates, how many players are actually from Pretoria or Soweto. My comment on this is, at the end of the day, in the professional sporting area, you are looked as where you perform. At no point, if we're playing on television a month ago and we lose to the Titans, does nobody say, but give them a break, they're only playing with local players.
Right. Mr. Fasaha, then what I want to firstly just emphasize is that the ombudsman, the transformation ombudsman, will not be able to make recommendations that will assist the Mpumalanga Cricket Union if he's not aware of the transformation or development issues that the union is currently facing. So I want to know from you are there any issues of transformation or maybe slow pace of development that the union is currently battling with?
I think we are facing the same problems that I assume most of the country faces. The slowness of transformation is jeopardized mainly because of not just a lack of funding, but a lack of infrastructure. Infrastructure, I think, is the biggest contributor because of the need for specific playing area to be utilized to play cricket. You can't just play that on a normal field. And I think that is the biggest contributing factors. Yes, there might be a few others that contribute as well, but that would be the major contributors.
No problem then. Then if you could just deal with your response to the submissions by Mr. Sandile Lukele.
Mr. Lukele.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Our response to Mr. Sandile is not very long because he didn't have a lot of issues to raise with us. I think most of his stuff was on a broader base. We have therefore welcomed Mr. Lukele's input and can assure that we will be addressing relevant points to make cricket better within his broader community as well. We are aware of numerous areas such as facilities that needs to be focused on and plan to do our utmost in bridging the gaps there might be. As finance is always a problem, we all ensure some of these can be addressed as our team competing in new domestic structure of CSA gives us that market. We would like to thank Mr. Lukele for the positive contribution he has on cricket in the province and look forward to working with him. Maybe just for interest's sake, I know it's not in my submission, from Ghana, which is the area that he is involved in, they actually had 27 players attending provincial trials 2 weeks ago. Of which I assume, I haven't seen the team list yet, but I assume some of them actually are playing in our provincial team this year.
Right. And what assistance is the union able to provide Sandile Lukele in terms of...
So at this point, what we provide him with some playing equipment and balls. We have sent one synthetic carpet to his area to assist with the facilities, although it's not ideal. Our services manager has secured a practice and playing facility in Piet Retief. Although it's not on their doorstep, it is close by or relatively close by for them. And then our major contributor would be assistance as far as transport goes for them to compete, not just in leagues, but to come to camps as well as trials, etc. I know he is also on the scope, as is numerous other areas that Mr. Matabula also referred to, and I referred to, that only plays mini cricket. CSA launched Meso Cricket last week. It is a new initiative that will hopefully bridge the gap between the two, and all those areas is on our scope as a pilot province to try and service those areas and try and see if we cannot assist with developing the game through the Meso Cricket system.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fasaki.
Now, I don't know if you have seen or have read Mr. Lukele's input. Advocate Ngele indicates to me that you have. And
I've read his input, yes.
Yes. What do you make of his
original submission?
Yes, the submission where I don't know whether we are on the same page. It's the submission where it's about 3, 4, 5 pages. He introduces
Page 5.
Yeah, I think it's about how many pages? About 5 pages? 6 pages? Oh, no.
Do you have it in front of you, Mr. Fasaki? We have
I've
sent
got
it
it
to
in front of me, yes.
Yes.
in front of him.
Oh, yeah, that's very good if you have it. You will know that we are looking at both gender and race as significant criteria for us discharging our mandate to look at whether discrimination on the basis of race and gender or race has impacted negatively or otherwise to cricket. Now, I would just like to get your sense of what you think about his stated views there. Firstly, when it comes to challenges affecting women's and girls who play cricket in the rural areas, how familiar are you with those kinds of problems, which he indicates?
From my side, I'm fully aware of that. There is a certain amount of discrimination in not just our country, but in the world towards females. But we are, from our side, working as hard as we can to try and rectify it. We have not just initiated to try and fast track and uplift the ladies and girls game within our province. We are also in the plans to give them their own home, in other words, just like the men's, and not share that, in order to make them really understand that they are equally important to us as what the men's game is. That said, though, I think there is still a perception out there, like Mr. Lekele alluded to, that cricket is a sport for the males and not for females, which I think is totally wrong, and we are trying to address that as much as we can. He has done wonders from where he is. You can see that in not just the amount of players he's producing, but the standard of his players that comes through his system as he focuses on women's and girls cricket. He does the rest as well, but especially focuses on them. And that's why we are trying to give him all the support we can to try and utilize that as a form of a brand for the girls' game within our province and the country to go forward and see what can be done within that particular area.
There are photos that I have here which show facilities where I think two of these photos show where girls were practicing, and it's clearly in the rural areas from what I can see. And two of these photos are also of young black males who seem to be playing in a place which is out in the, I don't know if you have these pictures.
I don't have the photos, but I can assume if he sent you the photos, that'll be out in Kana. Which is just outside of, about 40 km outside of Piet Retief. That is where the operations for his cricket is based. He stays in Piet Retief, but that is where the operations for that is based. To assist him even further, we, as a province, has allocated on a 16 girls coach. We are actually moved him to Piet Retief. So he is situated on their doorstep and not in Witbank or in Mbombela anymore.
But we are all on the same page with regard to the kind of facilities that are available just on the evidence of these pictures. These are not ideal playing fields, if I may say so. There is a lot of improvement that needs to be given to them. I mean, I don't even know if these are cricket fields or just.
No, that's not cricket fields. So I've been there. That's not cricket fields. It's just open space where they play.
Yeah.
As I say, it is not just by him. It is by everywhere. Infrastructure and facilities is a huge concern, and it is something that we are trying to address. My question, just once again, it is. First of all, the statement is, it is actually embarrassing in certain spaces that these players, not just by him, but some other places in our country, has to actually try and play cricket on. My concern just is, whose responsibility is it to make sure there are enough facilities? Is it only one person, or is it a collective effort? That is my concern regarding that.
Well, maybe let me ask the question that I've not been asking, because sometimes people receive it negatively, some receive it positively. Shouldn't there be a role for government to provide infrastructure, facilities, and what else? But I know that some of these, sporting codes have got an aversion to government participation at any level, because they think of those days when, they didn't, it was prejudicial for them as sporting codes to have A, their independence, and B, to be accepted by the ICC when we talk about cricket, if there was a view that they are government-sponsored, government-controlled, and all of those things. So there is this balancing that must must be maintained. And I just want to get your own sense, because I've been saying, really, I mean, if there is a way in which there is a sponsorship that we can get from government without it interfering with the way in which we should run our cricketing clubs and unions and what have you, perhaps there is something that should be said about that. What is your view? Because really, even the previous in the previous testimony, we had a case of kids who were playing in conditions which the testifier before you said, look, I'm not proud of that picture because it really does not represent what the conditions under which cricket must be played. Yeah.
You want my comment on that?
Yes.
Okay, so let me start off by saying I'd like us to be positive. And if I see a picture like the one you're holding up, I'm actually glad to see that these players are still playing cricket,
exactly,
no matter what their circumstances are. That's number one. But that said, though, now the powers to be need to take hands and ensure that if these players are so passionate to still remain in cricket, doesn't matter what their situations are, that we give them the necessary support to live out their dreams. But we can only do that if everybody joins hands. And we can't, and the problem comes in, as soon as you get a power struggle, then the people that suffer is not the ones that's supposed to be suffering. The wrong people suffer. So I'm not going to say who is responsible for the infrastructure. I'm sure a lot of people can understand. What I can say is I think everybody has their part to play. I do not think it is something that can be laid on the doorstep of just one entity. I do think there is a certain place and percentage that each entity has to play within that, whether it is the funding, the availability of the field, whether it is the aftercare service, if you want to call it that, after the facility is there, to make sure that it is operated professionally and correctly. That is something that needs to be determined. But yes, there needs to be more than one partner in this. And I think us as a federation and a provincial federation, we have got a part to play. Cricket South Africa's got a part to play. Local government has got a part to play. Provincial government as well as national government. What each one's percentage-wise must be that is, I assume, up for negotiation. My concern just is, and I know that is why cricket sometimes struggles with infrastructure and facilities. Cricket is a very expensive sport, especially if you come to facilities. It is an expensive facility to build and to maintain, which is more expensive than certain other sporting codes. And that makes it difficult sometimes to not just establish it, but to maintain it in order for it to be still viable for the players to use. So I hope that answers your question without getting me into trouble.
No. I'll protect you if you went into trouble. You know, there's something also I think our debate here is making me to remember. And that is, over time, you know, since we started these hearings, I have seen the centrality of the Department of Education, if only to the extent that, you know, the earlier you start getting kids playing the game of cricket, the better it is. The schools are clearly the places where, you know, it should all start. And I am getting a sense that sports generally, and probably cricket also, at that level, at where it should be the end point, at the primary schools, at the secondary schools, there is a lot of, in some areas, there are no, not only there are no fields, but it's not even a sporting code. To what extent would it assist the development of cricket, in your view, if it started, if grassroots, when people say we must start it at grassroots level, when grassroots also meant in the educational facility, in the institutions, in our primary schools, in our secondary schools, and of course in our universities. What's your thought about?
Okay, so let me answer you this way. If you look at most of the players that is representing not just our country, but at a higher level, cricket-wise in this country, I'm not taking where they come from originally, I'm taking what schooling system has produced them. And most of them has come via, at some point, not all of them, but most of them, some point, through a school that's got the correct infrastructure. So that is probably a figure point to say, listen here, in order for us to produce players from all areas, the infrastructure needs to be right at all these areas. Otherwise, those schools that has got them is going to keep on outweighing the production line for those other places. I think that is probably the easiest way to see it, to see where are they coming from. And there are players that's come through the system that doesn't originally come from Johannesburg or a Durban or whatever. They come from few small little places. But at some point they have gone through that system, and purely based on the availability of infrastructure, it has given them an edge.
No, I can't agree with you more there.
Mr. Fasage, I just had my last question on Mongezi Mokoena. I know that when Mr. Matibula was here, he was quite passionate about Mr. Mokoena, and I know that from what he was saying was that he painted Mongezi to be a talented player, and that he was still young. My understanding was that he was still young and still had potential. So I know he had stated that by him getting a position or an administrative position was almost a waste of his talent, you know, from my understanding of his submissions. So, and that he still, you know, he should be furthering his maybe cricketing career as a player before working as an administrator. So I just wanted to understand your views on that. If you could just expand on your paragraph 5.
Okay, to give you an idea, is we've had a chat with Mongezi. Mongezi sits in the office next to me. Although he's not here today, he's out working. But he is fully aware of the stepping stones he needs to follow for his playing career as well. I had a discussion with him. To assist him, our academy and coach practices in our indoor facility, which is right next door to the offices, on nearly a daily basis. He has taken Mongezi on numerous occasions out the office to practice with him. So we have made that given that to Mongezi, so he goes out the office to go practice cricket if that the coach is available and he can do that. So at no point, although it might look that way, at no point have we ended his cricketing career. To be honest with you, I think we have actually prolonged it, because after the academy contract that would have been finished by now, if he hasn't been awarded a provincial professional contract, he would have been done with cricket. Now he's got a stable job within cricket that can put the roof over his head and still be afforded the opportunity to still live out his playing dream within those spaces.
Okay. And you know what?
Those are very creative ways of dealing with these challenges. Yeah, I'm sorry, you were asking, does he know?
No, but I just wanted to know his age, like his age.
Mongezi turned 21 now a couple of days ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
If I read Facebook correctly.
Okay, thank you. We hope that you'll continue to support.
It's not a lighty, is it? 21.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been quite an informative debate that we have had with you. I have to thank you. And I have to thank you for standing your ground. Because we need just that kind of a leader today. We have to get the cricket right. We have to get our sporting right. And as Madiba used to say, if you have won people's hearts through sport, you will have won the country to understand that we swim together or we sink together. There is no middle way. We need to make our sporting world work. We need to make our country work, and we hope sport, and cricket in particular, will contribute to the South Africa that we all are talking about whenever we say we now are looking into a future from a past that we want to forget in the present that is still trying to get to that future. And we couldn't have done it, certainly in this segment of this inquiry on social justice and nation building, without people who are committed to making it available to everybody as a sporting code. People like you. Do the good work that you do. Always recall that there will be us who will be saying, but you could have done better if you did A, B, C, D, and E. And I like the fact that you are able to say, no, but it's easily said than done. And I can say this one thing, that your contributions today and your responses are going to be food for thought for us as we shape our report, and one hopes that the report will get the attention of not only the Cricket South Africa, but of all levels at which cricket is affecting and impacting on the lives of people, whether those people are players, selectors, coaches, at whatever level, managers. When once we have got it right at any and at all levels, we will have contributed to a sporting code that everyone is going to be proud of. If they are in Pakistan today, everybody is going to say, that's our team. And that is what we are trying to get to. And we couldn't have got there without people like you who have been in the sporting code, who have dirtied their hands, who have done everything that they are capable of doing in making the game something that we should look forward to playing. and we should look forward to attending as spectators, and we should look forward to be part of its structures, whether at managerial level, at coaching level, at selection level. It will be there without any bars preventing people from giving their best to this sporting code that we regard as one of the best sporting codes in South Africa. So thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you very much,
Fesafi.
sir. Thank you very much, ma'am. And we will get it right, sir.
Thank you. So, adjourned. Thank you very much for having attended. We are now adjourning to tomorrow. Thank you.